Welcome to Tanya Outside In. We are up to chapter 12, which is where we start to discuss the Benoni, who is the hero of our story. Um, Chapter 10, we went into detail about the Tzaddik, who is behaviorally perfect. But the Chiddush of the Tzaddik is that he is internally aligned with Hashem, meaning he never has an unholy impulse. Never does the tzaddik have an impulse that isn't absolutely aligned with Ratzon Hashem. That's the tzaddik. Then we spent a few minutes discussing. Last week we spoke about the Rasha or the two Rishoyim um, in Perek 11, and we said that the Rasha is um, obviously internally not aligned with Hashem, but he is able to transgress. He can do an Avera. Okay. And we said that it could be like once in a blue moon and a light Avera, and and it was only in thought or speech or action, and he does tshuva immediately after. So that basically means everybody who gets to that chapter in Tanya, they all turn around and they're like, what? That means that I'm in Russia. Yeah. And no, it doesn't mean that at all. What the key to this, as we've said again and again, is remembering that these are internal Jewish states. We're not talking about people. Okay. No one is a Russia or a Tzaddik or a Benoni. They are experiences that we have. Okay. So um, a lot of us, it should be that our default experience is the experience of a Benoni, where we can't do an Avera, but not because we are internally aligned. We can't do an Avera because of something else, something external to us. It could be Yiras Hashem, it could be a recognition of Hashem, uh, or a recognition of his presence. It could be Yiras Oynesh. You could be scared of getting Gehenna, yeah, or you want to get Gan Eden, or it could be that you feel that this is the right way to behave, but it's something external. So that's what we're going to see now. So chapter Yud Beis. והבינוני הוא שלעולם אין רע גויבר כל כך לכבוש את העיר הקטנה. The Benoni is a person that never does the Ra overcome and defeat or conquer the Ir HaKatana. What's the Ir Katana? The goof. Lislabesh beguf, to becoming clothed in the goof, lachtioi, and to cause him to do a sin. That is the definition of a Benoni. That never ever is it that the Ra in him is given enough not leeway, enough what's the word? Enough like is given reshus to conquer the goof and to cause the guy to do a sin. Doesn't happen. Dahainu, that means that the three garments of the nefesh bahamis, which are thought, speech, and action, that are from the klipa, which means they are selfish. It doesn't mean they are intrinsically evil. They're just self-involved. Yeah. Ein goivrim boy al nefesh elakis lislabesh beguf b'moyach ubepeh. Those three garments of the nefesh bahamis are never given reshus to overcome the garments of the godly soul, and to becoming clothed in the in the mind, in the mouth, or in the other, the sha'ar mach evarim, lachtiam ulatamim chas v'shalom, to cause them to do a sin or to be matame them chas v'shalom.
They're never given truth, meaning he has enough self-control that he doesn't allow them to overcome
We'll see, but yes, yeah. Eliezer just asked, what does it mean that they can't overcome it? The levushe nefesh bahamis can't overcome the levushe nefesh kis, meaning that the thought, speech, and action of the Benoni is always in Torah and mitzvahs. And the thought, speech, and action of the Nefesh Bahamis is never given permission to overwhelm his body, or to, so to speak, to conquer his body. And Eliezer asks, why is that? And that's what we're going to be discussing now. But we could say the most simple answer is Yiras Shamayim. Because he has Yiras Shamayim, he doesn't do anything wrong. We
And so, I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah, go
Can
on.
you go? Is it possible to go to a sports game or Six Flags and still be in Torah and mitzvos? Is that or is that one and the same?
You can. You
Okay.
can, but it's quite unlikely.
Miller may disagree.
What?
I said Miller may disagree.
What?
Rabbi Victor Miller may disagree.
He what?
May disagree.
He
about
made
going
this
to
video. You
sport-
can't.
Well, he talks about going to sports games.
Oh, sports games. I know. I know. I went to Six Flags when I was in the States a couple of times ago, and I went. I mean, I was queuing up learning Pirkei Avos, and I went with holy intentions. And also it could be just your mama's freaking out, and you need to take a time out. That's a very important thing to remember. Like, like frosting on chocolate cake is obviously generally an unholy activity, but it could be that, if you don't do that, you're going to shout your wife. It's definitely better to eat chocolate cake than shout your wife. And sometimes chocolate cake can mama shut you up. Chocolate cake can sometimes put you in a good mood. So in that case, that's what he says in chapter 6. Rava said that in chapter 6 very clearly. So if it's not osa, like you can't eat chazir, l'shem shemaim. But if it's not osa, then it can be done l'shem shemaim for sure, by definition. It's just
Or maybe just taking your kids out of the house to give your wife a break.
absolutely 100%. That's like mamish. That's
So,
good. Doshim. Wow.
well, maybe women should be doing it.
It's like the Hasidic guy who turns up. He went out he went out to the park during Pesach during the Pesach cleaning, and he comes back after an hour, and the wife says to him, "You've only been gone an hour," and he's like, "Well, there's only so much I can do to help." I like that joke. Okay. 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 Ruck. Exclude. However, Ruck shloisha levushay nefesh lekis. V'heim levada mislabshim beguv shay machshava dibo ma'aser shel mitzvahs Torah. This is the Benoni is one shtick Torah. He's just like everything else just doesn't appeal to him. It's just like why would you be talking about that? Like that's just I mean, and you feel that probably most conversations, like conversations that I hear people having that aren't Torah conversations, I usually want absolutely zero to do with. They're just like, saying where you've been and who you saw and like what you ate and like how the plane was. And you're just like, please, can we talk about something worth talking about, please? Like just something. So anyways, the Benoni, he's interested in Torah mitzvahs. Yeah, v'loy over aver miyomov. Now these are very important words. V'loy over aver miyomov. He never ever did an avera. V'loy ya'avor la'olam, and he will never do an avera. Now tell me, are we talking about a person? Obviously not. We're talking about an experience. The experience of the Benoni is just like I can't do that. I could see why someone would like to do that, but I can't do that. For whatever reason, he can't sin. And it's like he never did and he never will do. You can never say someone will never do a sin. How can you say that? Yochanan Cohen Gadol, he was over like at the end of his life. Obviously, the Tanya is trying to explain an internal Metzius. This is the big raya that these 5 different madrigas are internal experiences. Because you could never say that he never did and he will never do an Avera. You could say he never did, meaning that he had done tshuva. That's fine. But to say he never will do an Avera, that you can't say, unless we're talking about just the Metzius of who he is. That's who he is right now. That's the power of now. Okay.
You could also be talking about an individual who's so in control over their actions, who has such clarity over Moloch Sholet Al Alev, no?
I mean, that's the Matthias of the guy. But you can never say that forever. He will be. That's exactly the point. Is right now who he
No,
is.
you're saying you have to say it means his Metzias now.
Yeah, exactly. His Matthias
Current
is that
state.
he could never dream of doing an Avera. Maybe tomorrow he'd be able to do one. But right now, in the Matzav he's in, that is out of bounds. That is not in my worldview. You with me? This is very important. This is really very important idea to have this clear. It's very clear, and it comes out like we said last week, is that the Russia could be that he didn't actually do an Avera, and he's still a Russia. Because maybe the opportunity didn't come. But the point is that he could do the Avera. But Viol can't explain exactly that, the way I understood it anyway. The Tanya is forcing us inside the mensch. And really the way that I understand the Sefer is the Tanya is not expecting from us behavioral, or let's say like this. Maybe the Tanya is expecting of us behavioral perfection, but the purpose of the behavioral perfection is to bring us to the level of a tzaddik. It's meant to feed back into the system, and it's meant to slowly, slowly transform our inner reality into the world of the tzaddik. And I believe that's how it actually works. From my personal experience, having been involved with this Sefer for so long, and all the self-help books that I've been reading over the years, and working very hard on my behavior, especially thinking, that you see it feed back into the system, and you start becoming a holy person as opposed to just acting as a holy person. You start to become holier and holier, and you start to feel that, and you start to see it. Things become easier. I mean, the battle shifts, so you never stop fighting, but certain things become not just like you couldn't imagine doing it, but they become grotesque to you. Like certain things will pop up on the screen on your computer, and you'll be like that. You won't be able to look. You'll feel repulsed. Yeah, that means that your inner world has started to become more in line with reality, more in line with Hashem. And the way I understand it, the Ikka tool that we have to inner perfection is our behavior, because everyone can fix a behavior. Everyone can act like a tzaddik. Everyone can act like a tzaddik. We need to be empowered. We need to be educated about how to do that. But that is in our control. And like that will feed back into the system, and slowly, your whole inner world will start becoming more aligned with reality, which is really what we want, really.
Saying fake it till you make it. Is that what you mean?
So Eliezer just said, "Fake it till you make it."
You need to act
But-
like it's like, and eventually it will.
Yeah, but we're like that. Firstly, it's not really faking it, because you're doing what you need. You're doing what you need to do, and then fake it till you make it is like. But we were talking about the mechanics of how it really works. It's
More
you,
deeper.
yeah. It's a bit, yeah. Okay. This love is for good. Shame.
Right, sorry. One clarification:
Yeah.
Changing your behavior does not necessarily have any impact on your inner world. I hear how it might make you more prone to those behaviors, but that has nothing to do with the Shema. You could be a total tzaddik in your behavior, i.e., a Beinani, and be completely not Lishma in why you're doing it.
I agree with you.
So to become a tzaddik has nothing to do with faking it till you make it. To become a Beinani does.
No. Because what I'm saying is, if a person, it was a good point what you made. I think if a person is just acting, doing everything right, yeah, Al Pi Shulchan Aruch, he's perfected his behavior with krum selfish kavanas, yeah, then there is absolutely no haftacha that you're going to become in line with God. Zero. You could stay extremely selfish, and it could be that your behavior is is aligned with Shulchan Aruch. But we're assuming that you're learning Sefer Tanya and that you're desperate to break out of this prison of self and that you want to serve Hashem Lishma. That's what we're assuming. That's why the Mo'anaim said on the famous Gemara, Metoich lo lishma bo lishma, is it's dafka from the metoich. It's from the lo lishma that you come to lishma. What? It's from the fact that you hate the fact that you're being over Hashem lo lishma, that you'll come to lishma. If it doesn't bother you, the lo lishma, then there's no avtacha bichlal that you'll come to lishma. But if you hate the fact that you're selfish and you can't get out, and then you will eventually get to the Shema. It will start to dissolve. And the Lubavitch Rebbe said, "Mitoich lo lishma, bo lishma," meaning that the very essence, it's the mitoich lo lishma, bo lishma, is that the essence of the lo lishma really is lishma. Every year, deep down, is mamash lishma. So the fact that we don't put time into this in yeshivas and stuff, like just discussing lishma and talking about lishma, that I think needs to be worked out. But if we do put that in our, at the front of our mind, then the good behavior will be mashpia, B'ezrat Hashem, onto the inner world, and it will become in line. So I think I agree with you, Gabriel, but I think that's the point, is that it needs this sefer to be with it as well. It's not enough to just be. The Shulchan Aruch is not enough. You need the Shulchan Aruch and Tanya, and then the Tanya will be madgish the lishma, and the Shulchan Aruch is the Shulchan Aruch. He won't ever do an avayim. And it wasn't called on him the name. This is very deep. I don't really know. You have to think about what these words mean. Yeah, v'lo nikra alav shem Rasha. The name Russia never came on him. Maybe that's alluding to the experience. Afilu sha'achas v'rega echad, not even for a millisecond. Kol yomov, in all his life. Ach machus v'atzmus nefesh elokis. However, the essence of his godly soul, which is Shahain Esa Bechinoseh, the 10 powers, which is which is Chochmah down to Malchus, which is the 3 intellectual faculties and the 7 emotional faculties. They do not have exclusive dominion over the body. Only at certain times. Just like at the time when we say Kriya Shema Tefillah, which I don't know why, but Kriya Shema, actually the truth is, it's not really Kriya Shema, it's Birchas Kriya Shema. Like literally every day I get hit with the most ridiculous Machshavas Zaros and Machshavas Ros during Birchas Kriya Shema. Like every day I'm in Shimon Tzaddik, it's Nate's, I'm in Talis and Tefillah with a bunch of holy people, and I've got images in my mind from things that I saw when I was like 12 years old. That and I'm like, why? Anyway, so he didn't say Birchas Kriya Shema, he said Kriya Shema, Shas Kriya Shema Tefillah, she Shas Moichin the Gadlus Lamala, which is a time of expanded consciousness, which basically means that you are in Tzaddik mode. At that moment, it's not just that the garments of the soul are the garments of the godly soul are in control. It's that the actual 10 powers of the godly soul are in control. Okay, so usually by the Benoni, you've got the 10 powers of the godly soul, the 10 powers of the animal soul, and they're in the goof together, and they're interacting with each other in the way they do. But in the levushim, in the behavior, in the thought, speech, and action, only the godly soul gets to express herself. Whereas at auspicious times, like he said, like Tefillah and Shemona Esrei, like Tefillah and Kriya Shema, then the actual 10 powers of the animal soul get displaced by the 10 powers of the godly soul, and that is called the matzah of a tzaddik. Tzaddik v'ralo, but it's still the matzah of a tzaddik. Wait, can anybody answer me how I could say that? That it's the matzah of a tzaddik v'raloi, not a matzah of a tzaddik v'tovloi. That's an advanced Tanya question. Can we describe the difference between the tzaddik v'ralo and tzaddik v'tovloi in one word?
Those are nothing together.
What's the one word that describes the difference between the tzaddik v'tovloi and tzaddik v'raloi?
Oneg.
Machshava?
Oineg. So the oineg hasn't been replaced. The oineg hasn't been replaced. Just the 10 powers of the soul have been replaced. But the kesser hasn't been replaced. Yeah, that was an advanced side point. Okay.
Why a tzaddik and not a Beinoni? Just a Beinoni who's winning. You're saying when he wins, he becomes a tzaddik v'ralo?
No. When he wins, he's a Beinoni. But when he's doing tefillah and Kriya Shema, when the inner mahus is flipped over, and the way the Rayatz explained it was beautiful. He said, when you're davening properly, what happens is your nefesh bahamis sits at the side and acts as a spectator, watching the nefesh elokis. And it's like, like lahavdil. You can imagine at a baseball match, you can imagine kids in the stand, like with their glove, like, pretending to throw the baseball and stuff like that, or like, when one of these basketball guys does some kind of funny maneuver, you can imagine kids in the stand, like acting it out, You understand what I'm saying, yeah? So that's like how it is with the Nefesh of Bahamis and the Nefesh of Lakis, lahavdil, is the Nefesh of Bahamis is sitting there watching the Nefesh of Lakis in such a tainug, yeah, having such a good time that it kind of wears off on him a little bit. It rubs off in him a little bit, and he gets elevated a little bit. You cannot, I think it's impossible to overstate the importance of Shachris to your entire Jewish life. I can't think of anything.
What do you base that on?
It's more important, right?
What do you base it on? Why are you saying Shabbos is opposed to Mincha Maariv?
No, Shachris is, Eliezer just asked why Shachris over Mincha Maariv.
Opposed to any other avodah.
Shachris is the beginning of the day. It's like the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur of the day. It's everything. It's mamash. Your whole day goes after that. But just another side that we're talking about here is that it's a training for the Nefesh of Bahamis. It supples up. It makes more supple and more receptive the Nefesh of Bahamis. If you can give to tefillah the cover that it demands, then the actual Nefesh of Bahamis ends up getting elevated by just watching the oineg that you're having from davening. And there's no reason why you shouldn't have oineg from davening. Just like, like Lahavdil, you can read, beautiful poetry and feel very elevated. So if you've got the art scroll with the English, like today, for example, I had the art scroll interlinear, yeah? And it was Bahab. So you know what? I said, forget this. And I was reading it all in English. Just like usually I don't, usually you read in Hebrew and you catch the English bit. I was like, no. And I was just reading in English like, oh God, please appease my, receive my supplications. And, and I got high out of it. I really got elevated from it. It was very special. It was really special, Don't, it's not so distant from us. The only reason why it's distant from us is because we're so distracted and we don't give it we don't pay it the cover that it demands, that it deserves, that it pasha deserves. Think of it this way: the Anshe Knesset Gedola, yeah, they could have given up. They could have said anything. They could have said, 3 times a day you say Mishnayos, and you be Messiah Mishnayos once a year, and then a Dafa Gemara, and 3 halachas. Well, they could have done anything. They could have said anything they wanted. Yeah, they entrusted us with this little book called the Siddur. And they said, we're going to give you this Siddur from now until the end of time. And we're going to make Yidden sit with it for at least an hour a day. And Everything's encoded in it. Everything is encoded. Like all the message, the Anshe Knesset Gedola gave it as a kind of letter, like a imagine that your child is going, Chas v'shalom, your child is going on a long journey and you don't really know how it's going to be and whatever. You give them a letter and you tell them to read it every single day. Imagine what kind of things you would want to embed into that letter. Yeah. That's Shacharis, and you should approach it. You should approach the Siddur in that way. You open a Siddur, and it's mamash your alter Zaidi, who was a tzaddik gamor and a navi, yeah, mamash hardly human compared to us, who just encoded in it for us everything that we need. It's a whole, you're like with the book. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different experience.
When you get a geschmack from it, and is that your nefesh habahamis getting a selfish pleasure? Is that how it's getting involved? Is that it's a selfish pleasure for the nefesh habahamis, or it's feeling more alive, or you're jumping up and down, or like what? What is the nefesh habahamis experiencing?
So look, if it wasn't for what I just said to you in the name of the Rayats, where he said the nefesh habahamis is on the sideline getting high, watching the nefesh elokis, yeah. I would have said like what you just said now, that it's like when you watch, watch Rav Maya Zilberberg davening, yeah, the Nefesh Bahamis is extremely involved in that. I mean, he's Makadesh it, but there's a huge amount of energy and mamash, like a lot of physical energy, which is really the domain of the Nefesh Bahamis.
There's also a selfishness that, like you were saying last week, it's my tefillah. I don't want to have to interrupt my davening to go take care of my kid.
Yeah, I mean, there's a geschmack in it for sure. I mean, hopefully, if you do it properly, there's a geschmack in it.
So
But
that's selfish.
yeah, but that's also, well, it's not really, because that's like the mitzvah is to be mizdaveg with Hashem. It's just like on Shabbos, having the oineg, that is the mitzvah, to be mizdaveg with Hashem, which is a tainug. That's the mitzvah. So you're right, but
So maybe that's the nefesh habahamis pleasure. That is how you get it involved, by giving it
yeah.
something that it enjoys.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And but like I said, it doesn't. That you have a kasha on what the Rayat said about him sitting by the side. You have to. Maybe he was just saying it like Derech Mashal, like it's not really like that. But that's another thing that happens.
For people who daven quietly.
Maybe
What's
yeah.
the Nefesh Elokis experiencing if we're saying all the stuff about the Nefesh Bahamis?
The Nefesh Elokis is the one that's davening. She's davening.
She's enjoying, like.
She doesn't enjoy anything more than davening. Yeah, so that's Moichin the Gadlus Lamala, but in these auspicious times when literally our whole inner world becomes transformed into a holy world. Okay, V'gam Lamata, Hish'asa Koishe L'Kol Adam. So this is the Inyan of Lamala. These times of Kriya Shema and Tefillah are very Halik times, and it translates V'gam Lamata, also down here, Hish'asa Koishe. It's a rui a fitting time, L'Kol Adam she'az makashe Chabad sheloi laHashem, that he's makashe his Chabad to Hashem, la'amig datoi b'gedulas ein sof baruch hu, to be makashe, to be mamig his das in gedulas ein sof baruch hu, in the greatness of Hashem, meaning whatever the inyan is at the time, anything godly, la'oire esa ahava, and to arouse the ava. See, just Rav Hassan explained to me the other day, there's three things of kirva: nishuk, chibuk, and zivug. Yeah, kissing, hugging, and zivug. Yeah, kissing is done with the chabad, then chibuk is with chagas, and zivug is with nahi. Yeah, which means your Chochmah Bina Das is the inyan of Nisha, kissing. Yeah, that's peh al peh, that's to do with the head. Hugging is the arms, which is the inyan of Chesed, Gevura, and Teferis, which is Hagas.
Wait, what is Chabad? Chabad is Chesed, no?
Chabad is Chochmah Bina Das. That's the head, that's Nishuk.
Then and the heart.
And the heart? What do you mean?
A hug is the arms and the heart.
Oh, okay, that's chesed. That's chesed gevur tiferes. Yeah, and zivug is with Yesoid and Netzach and Hoid. But what Rav House explained to me was that it's not really nice to speak about these things, but my friend in England who's dealing with all these crazy things has had to deal with Bochum or with whatever people who'd visited zonas, Rahman al Yidden, and he said that the zonas charged more for nishuk. That cost more money. Nishuk is the highest kirva. So I said to him, but yeah, what about zivug? That and he said the chibuk and the zivug is talui on the Chabad, on the nishuk. The matzav of the Chabad is mashpia into the hag or into the zivug. So it's all about the Chabad, but the quality of the Chabad, the intensity of the Chabad for the other, that is mashpia into the chibuk and into the zivug. Okay, so the relationship really is peh al peh, panim al panim. That's what it's called, face to face. That's the real relationship of that is a face to face. It's not called goof to goof. It means that you're completely facing each other, but it's called panim al panim. That's where the real relationship is in the Chabad. Yeah, that's breath to breath. That's why learning Torah is the most intimate connection you can have with the Rebbeinu Shalom. That arouses the ava karishbe eish b'chali yamini, that arouses the love in the right side of the heart, the godly love, yeah, in the right side of the heart, shabili boy, ledabka boy, b'kiyam Torah v'mitzvah seha, that makes you want to mamash be close to the Rebbeinu Shalom through mitzvahs and learning Torah, mi'ahava, from love, meaning it's not out of fear, it's out of a wanting to come close. You can never really extract yourself from love. There's always a yesh misha oyev. There's always an element of selfishness in love, always, except for maybe the very highest level of love. And this is the concept of Kriya Shema being Doiraisa and the brachas before and after being Doirabonan, Kriya Shema, because they are a preparation for Kriya Shema. That it's about this moving the heart. It's like they brought out, I saw the trailer for this, they brought out the film Gladiator 2. You saw the trailer for this film? Yeah, so I watched the trailer for it today, and it is, I mean, watch one of these, I just said that because it was in my head, but watch one of these Hollywood films, yeah? I mean, don't, but if you do, yeah, I'll give you, I'm gonna confess, yeah, a few years ago, I ended up watching, it was one of these Marvel ones, that big, like with the big rock man and a guy, Thor Ragnarok, that was it. Anyone saw that film? It was so stupid, yeah. But it was such a feast for the eyes, such a feast for the eyes. But then at the end of it, yeah, you've got like, it was like Dorothy, what's Dorothy and Oz Wonderland? No, not Dorothy and Wonderland. Like the Wizard of Oz, like the Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, whatever it was, yeah. And they were like in a spaceship, yeah. A big guy made out of rocks, like a half-dressed man with a hammer, like a little rat creature. It was just like so fun. And they were watching the planet explode, and I'm sitting there crying. I'm like wiping tears out my eyes, crying my eyes out, thinking, Diamond, you're such an idiot. Why are you crying? What are you doing? I was crying my eyes out. Why? I just felt so stupid. Why? Because they know how to pull the strings of your heart. Hollywood has spent the past 100 years getting it down to such a science where they know exactly what the music is, what the timing is, what the people need to say, what the composition and the lighting needs to be, v'chule, 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 yeah? They get it all right, and there's nothing you can do. You just start crying, yeah? Lahavdil, elef alfa, elaf, and havdalas, yeah? We can do that with tefillah. That's the hachana of that's Bezukah de Zimra, that's Birchas Kriya Shema, Kriya Shema. These are they are geared, designed to bring you lahavdil to a real emotional matzav. Just like I said, lahavdil, like that Marvel film was done by very intelligent people. It's up to us. That's why Rabbi Daniel Katz is so successful. One of the things that like to bring people to real experiences, because he's a mastermind. Like he's basically a film producer. He's a mastermind film producer. And I was a photographer at one of his events, yeah, for a whole like few days. I watched him and I wasn't doing it. I was taking pictures. So I was just watching. And he just created the most insane mental films, in internal Moshavadika movies in people's minds. And I watched it, and with the music and with the setting and with the way he was speaking and with the imagery and with the timing and with the pauses and with everything, yeah. And you had dozens and dozens of people just sitting there streaming with tears, having real emotional experiences. It's not rocket science. I mean, it is a real science, but and we, if we spend some real time to it and think about the things that make a difference to us and, etc., we can also have a real emotional experience. We can. It's really available, especially if you get enough sleep as well. Make sure that you're not tired. And other things as well, like practical answers. Time will finish off. But kafu for bottle the toiv. And then at that point, the ra that is in the left side of the heart becomes kafuf and batul latoiv, which is, like we said, the experience of the tzaddik she'ein gamor. Hamispashet b'chal yamini mechabad shebemoyach amukusharim begedulas ein so bochu. That what was the toiv that did that? It was the toiv that came out of the right side of the heart that spilled over. We discussed that in Perek Tes, how it spilled over from the right side of the heart and basically displaced the evil, the selfishness in the left side of the heart. And at that point, that man is in the experience of a tzaddik she'eino gamor. That is we are striving for that experience in tefillah. We are striving to experience the level of the tzaddik she'eino gamor, and that is available to us with the right chachanas, with the right preparation, with the right. I mean, look, everybody knows, everybody realizes how we should. One of the things I've thought about before. You ever davened on an aeroplane, like in the aisle in front of people? Have you noticed? Watch people davening in the aisle. You'll see all of a sudden they look like they're really doing something. Like at shul, people just feel like that. But in the aisle and in the plane, people start to realize that you're on show here, and it makes sense that tefillah should be something, not nothing. And it's a real danger that tefillah can become nothing, and even less. It's really a danger. But it's clear, we all know, we're all very clear that what tefillah really does deserve. We just have to do it. Okay. Shkoyach. Should be zeicher.